Laws and agreements in the spiritual context. Laws and agreements form the foundation of both the physical and spiritual realms. They are the unseen framework that governs the outcomes of your words, actions, and intentions, shaping your reality with precision. There is a ripple effect of breaking laws that crosses both worlds. Nothing, on earth, in the heavens, or in the spirit, happens without laws and agreements. We are all bound by rules, whether you acknowledge them or not. Ignorance is not an excuse. Every law comes with a consequence. The two worlds, physical and spiritual. As I elaborate on in Volume 1, Soul Game, life operates on two interconnected levels, the physical and the spiritual. These realms coexist, and your words act as bridges between them, shaping your journey in both worlds simultaneously. The game of life is played on the physical plane, where your physical body is the main character navigating all that encompasses your life in your physical reality. Parallel to this is your soul game, unfolding on the spiritual plane. You also have an energetic body that represents your soul and resides in the spiritual realm. Words impact both worlds. What you speak in the physical world creates vibrations that echo into the spiritual realm, altering your energy and shaping your reality. Each word carries intent, whether spoken consciously or unconsciously, and these ripples have both immediate physical effects and long-term spiritual consequences. Understanding this duality is crucial when considering the power of agreements and manifestations. The words you say aloud, or even silently to yourself, carry the weight of commitment. They set spiritual contracts into motion, influencing the energy around you and within you. To master the laws of both worlds, you must speak with clarity and intention, aligning your words with the life you wish to create in both realms. Definition of laws. Laws are formal rules and regulations established by governing. Definition of laws. Laws are formal rules and regulations established by governing authorities and enforced by legal institutions. They are designed to maintain order and stability, resolve disputes, and assign consequences. In the spiritual realm, laws operate with similar principles, though they are often unseen. Spiritual laws govern cause and effect, manifesting as divine justice or karmic balance. They transcend human-created laws and are universally binding. Definition of agreements. Agreements are mutual understandings or arrangements between two or more parties. They operate in both physical and spiritual realms and can take many forms. Formal agreements. These include contracts in the physical world, which are legally enforceable if they meet requirements like offer, acceptance, and consideration. Informal agreements, like verbal promises or social agreements. Spiritual agreements, often formed through words, actions, or intentions. Words are contracts. Words become vows, giving free will consent to come into agreement. We know there are agreements, and by spiritual law, you must come into agreement to manifest reality. The question becomes, how do you intentionally create agreements to manifest what you desire, instead of passively or unconsciously agreeing to something by accident? How words create reality. Blessing. You can bless your life with your words, speaking words of positivity, abundance, and expectancy of what you desire. Cursing. You can also curse your life with your words. Using harmful or negative language creates energetic disruptions, invoking limitations or harming your outcomes. For example, legal systems codify agreements through words written as laws, and society collectively agrees to abide by them. If you accept the authority of these words, you come into agreement with their power. Similarly, your personal declarations, spoken or written, carry the same binding force in your own life. Spiritual laws and agreements. Spiritual laws are immutable, governing the manifestation of reality. These laws apply equally to divine beings, humans, and even darker entities. Think of the law, the principle of consent. You've seen this demonstrated in endless movies. Darker entities cannot enter your life or mess with your destiny unless you open the door with your words or actions. Think of every horror movie. You often have to give permission to, summon, or allow through consent the entity or bad guy to come into the house. In the physical world, You do this all the time by opening doors through sin, not realizing you are giving consent and/or coming into agreement, knowingly or unknowingly, consciously or unconsciously, through your actions. Ignorance may be bliss, but it is not an excuse or accepted in spiritual law. No different than in the physical world courtroom. Ignorance is not a defense. The spiritual court and laws don't care if you got tricked or didn't know what you were giving consent to. Nothing can manifest in your life without your agreement. Many people unknowingly come into agreement by accident, or more accurately, through ignorance and inattention. This ignorance shows up as creation by default when one does not mind their words. Using the wrong words can invite chaos and suffering in the form of creation by default. Meaning, ignorance shows up as nothing more than inattention. Inattention meaning you weren't paying attention to what you were saying to yourself or about yourself. However, ignorance does not provide an escape. Agreement is agreement, whether entered into consciously or unconsciously. This is the tricky part of manifestation, where actions and intent, taken consciously or unconsciously, affect and influence your physical reality and your energetic body in the spiritual realm. For instance, media often plays directly in plain sight. While it may seem hidden, messages are cloaked just enough to trick people into agreement with the illusions or narratives being sold. You reap what you sow. When you speak, you set these agreements into motion. Words are not neutral. They hold the power of life and death. Speaking, believing, or even passively consuming content is a form of agreement. Unconscious agreements. Human will is a powerful force. We have the ability to choose and make agreements, and this is crucial in the spiritual context. However, unconscious agreements, formed through ignorance or inattention, can have significant consequences. While conscious agreements are deliberate, unconscious ones are often formed through ignorance or inattention. These can have significant consequences, as ignorance does not exempt you from spiritual laws. Common unconscious agreements. Watching harmful or violent content sends a message of acceptance or tolerance for negativity. Listening to music with destructive lyrics invites those themes into your energetic field. Using spiritual tools without overstanding. Practices like tarot cards or Ouija boards can open doors to spiritual interference. Here's a practical example. We often think of sin as a heavy concept, reserved for serious transgressions like stealing or harming others. However, sin can also be small, consistent actions that go against what is best for you. Take procrastination, for instance. On the surface, delaying tasks might seem harmless, but it can represent an unconscious agreement with stagnation and self-doubt. By repeatedly choosing inaction over progress, you send a spiritual message. I am not ready or deserving of success. This subtle agreement can open the door to manifestations that reflect this belief, such as missed opportunities, diminished confidence, and experiences that reinforce feelings of being stuck or unworthy of achievement.